So Earl Spence finally mentions Terence Crawford's name. He does an interview where he says that he hoped that he can get that fight made in the future. That's the fight that he wants. He talked about pursuing Terence Bud Crawford right after the Ugas fight. And he said, hopefully we can get it done. And you know, a lot of Eroll's criticism could have been capped off by just doing that alone, even if he wasn't sincere about it. It's just the fact that he would constantly ignore the fact that Terence Bud Crawford exists. He would constantly ignore the fact that that's the fight that people want made. He would try to dance around it and stuff like that. And that's where a lot of his criticism came in, by just acknowledging Terence Bud Crawford. And that's a fight that his fans, Terence Bud Crawford fans, and boxing fans around the world, that's the fight that they want to see. So by just acknowledging him alone, that would have cut off a lot of criticism that came towards Eroll Spence's way. But it's good to see that he's talking about Terence Bud Crawford. How real is it? We do not know. Now, some people seem to think that I got lackadaisical on Eroll Spence, or I went soft on Eroll Spence, and that's not what it was. It's just that I've already said what I could possibly say about Eroll Spence ducking Terence Bud Crawford. Okay? And if anything I like to do, I like to balance out two sides of the coin. So I had to recognize that Eroll Spence, coming off these layoffs and these breaks and these injuries, taking on the competition that he has taken on, I had to acknowledge that a lot of people would not have done that, you know? So it seemed kind of a little bit brutal to constantly call a guy a coward who's doing something that majority of the people in boxing wouldn't do. He's just not fighting this man. And he gets his criticism for not fighting that man. But to label him just all around as just a scary ass dude who don't want no smoke with nobody, that's not true. It just, when it comes to Terence Bud Crawford, comes across as a coward. You know, that's just how it goes. But everything else, you got to give him credit for taking on that kind of competition at the end of the day. That's something that I can't ignore. If I did ignore it, or if I didn't mention it, or if I didn't bring it up, then that would be fake on my part. That would be somewhat biased on my part. You know, and I try to recognize everything in these fighters, both good and bad. I'm never set in one way. If I say something, it's just the criticism and it's just the truth, you know, and both when I say something that's positive, you know, it's just the truth, you know, and the truth is a lot of people wouldn't take on the competition that Eroll Spence has taken on, coming off these layoffs and coming off that kind of a life-threatening injury, accident, whatever you want to call it, eye surgery. That's a lot, man. A car accident and eye surgery. Come on now. That's a lot. And then to go in there and to fight somebody like Ugas and, you know, the other people that he took on. Come on. A lot of people wouldn't do that. And he would be well within his rights to take a little easy fight. He hasn't done that. Now, this is somebody who could do that and get away with it, but he chose not to do that. That's something that I have to recognize at the end of the day. And at least it is good that he's talking about Terence Bud Crawford. Now, I did say, if he don't call out Terence Bud Crawford right after this fight, you know what I'm saying, that all bets are off, and then we right back at square one. But at least give him an opportunity to see, okay, you say you was going to get these belts. All right, whatever, fine. Even though you said you're going to take the fight earlier, even though you said he's across the street, even though you said this, even though you said that, I'm chilling on my ranch. All that is documented. I got videos on it. All that is documented. But what I wanted to do is, I recognize that Ugas could be a bit of a challenge for him. So I do recognize he's doing that. Let's see how he acts after this Ugas fight, because there really is nowhere else to go. So I wanted to give him the time to go ahead and take on Ugas to see what he does afterwards, instead of just hammering him all the way through. Just like I said, sometimes you got to give people the opportunity to prove you wrong. I'm giving Eroll Spence the opportunity to prove me wrong or right. You know, it doesn't matter. But the point is, you know, I have to give him that opportunity. I have to recognize what he's doing. I'm not overlooking it. I can see it, and I appreciate some shit like that. So with that being said, I said, look, I'm just going to pause on the coward shit for that. It doesn't mean that I still don't think that. It's just, as far as constantly labeling him like that and constantly getting on his ass like that. No, I've got plenty of videos. I've already done that. Now it's time for me to document something else. Now it's time for me to highlight something else. And that's a level of competition that he's choosing to take. I'm coming off eye surgery and getting swung from a car and alcoholism and all that other stuff. You know, you got to give people the opportunity to prove you wrong. So this is my opportunity. So I'm going to sit back, see how he does in this fight and see what he does afterwards. Now, if he still pick up that I'm chilling on my rant shit afterwards, then guess what? We are right back at the green light, you know, going full steam ahead. But I do recognize what he's doing. So since I recognize what he's doing, you know, I'm like, all right, well, okay. Well, after this fight, I'm expecting you to call him out because there's nowhere else to go from here, you know. And another thing that Eroll Spence said, he talked about how time wasn't on his side and he's getting older and stuff like that. I really didn't like that comment right there because I was like, if that's the case and you feel like you on like borrowed time or something like that, you could have fought Terence Crawford while you were in your prime. You chose not to. You strategically chose to wait till the end. So maybe you done that on purpose. Maybe you didn't. Who knows? You know, but you could have got him when he was in his, you could have got Terence Crawford while you were in your prime. You could have did that. Easy. But you didn't want to. That's the only comment that I didn't like. So if you recognize you're on borrowed time now, then maybe you should go ahead and push through with the fight. I thought after the car accident, he would think, okay, tomorrow's not promised for nobody. I almost didn't have this fight or my life in general. So let me go ahead and push forward ahead. Instead, he kind of came out that accident still acting stupid. You know what I'm saying? Still talking crazy. Still not recognizing Terence Crawford. Still downplaying him. Still saying he's not this. Still saying he ain't selling that and all that other stuff. When at the end of the day, he has the belt that you want. So what does it matter with all that external stuff? It really shouldn't matter at the end of the day. The fight should get made. We want to see these guys fight in their prime. Boxing is a young man's sport. It's not an old man's sport. It's not a 30-year-old sport. It's a young man's sport. Even though you could fight well into your 30s and all that other stuff. But it's a young man's sport. So go ahead and take on these tough battles or the most dangerous opponents while you are young and your body can recoup and re-heal at its optimum level. That's one of the reasons why you quit boxing early, because when you're younger, your body just can heal just on a different level. When you're older, it's not just slower in healing. It doesn't heal all the way like you did when you were younger. There's accidents that you had that you were younger that if you got into them right now, would fuck you up for the rest of your life. So take on those tough challenges, take on those tough opponents, the most physically taxing bouts while you're in your youth, and you can walk away with your faculties. It's taking on those fights when you're older is the damn problem. You know, so, but hopefully he sees that now. We're going to sit back and see what Eroll Spence does. Hopefully the Terence Crawford fight is next. And if it is, I have to say boxing's looking on the up and up. You know what I'm saying? Boxing keeps this up. You might get some new fans. You know what I'm saying? You might get people to remember why this sport, you know, is one of the greatest sports in the fucking world, if not the best. The business is horrible, but as far as the sport go, shit is second to none. You know what I'm saying? So go ahead and keep it up. Look forward to Oscar Valdez, Shakur Stevenson. Look forward to Devin Haney. I look forward to Spence and Ugas, and you know, I look forward to Joshua and Usyk and Tyson Fury and Dylan White. Man, boxing's looking good at this point. If we can keep up this momentum, because this is what the fuck this sport is supposed to be like. You know what I'm saying? And maybe we'll enter another golden era of boxing. Who knows? Who knows what this might set off? You know, this might set off a chain reaction. Motherfuckers might start to fight again. Who knows? But the shit is looking good, man. So I'm just happy about that at the end of the day. And it's good to have something positive to say about boxing for once. Like, shit is looking on the up and up. So, you know, I don't want to crack a frown or even complain at this point, because most of the fights I want to see is on the board. But that's all I got for now. Bruce Wayne, I'm out.